working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for you is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for you.
A pleasant afternoon to all and welcome to Working for You. I am Roy Williams. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's program. Wherever you are in the world, your company is always appreciated. Today we are going to be discussing the role of the St. Kitts Nevis Customs and Excise Department. And I have with me two officials from the Customs and Excise Department who are going to speak about what they do, what the department does. They're going to be talking about the International Customs Day, which was just celebrated, and the activities that the department has to celebrate International Customs Day 2020. I have with me Elma Martinez, who is the Assistant Comptroller of Customs, responsible for investigations. Elma, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I also have with me Jervin Nisbet, who is Customs Senior 4 Officer, and he is the Courier Operations Manager. Mr. Nisbet, welcome. Right. Now, the Customs and Excise Department plays a critical role in terms of border security. We know that. And not only border security, but in terms of revenue, collection of revenue, and so that for the country. Of course, without the collection of revenue, we will have problems in terms of maintaining our roads and all of our public infrastructure and that sort of thing. Now, Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
you are the Assistant Comptroller of Customs for Investigations. Can you tell me something about what specifically you do?
Okay.
What does that mean? You're responsible for investigations.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams. On behalf of the Comptroller, I just want to thank you for having us here on this edition of Working for You to share information with the public. I also want to say good afternoon to the listening public, and wherever you are, good afternoon. Yes, I am Officer Martinez, responsible for investigations as Assistant Comptroller. At the investigation unit, we do a number of stuff. However, the main thing that we focus on is to enforce the laws of the Customs Department. And in doing so, we conduct investigations into any breach, allegations of the breach of the Customs Act. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the matter might be a misdemeanor or a petty matter in which the matter could be settled administratively. Okay? Mm-hmm. In that way, the perpetrator, the individual, and the offender may settle by paying an administrative fee. That information is kept confidential, as we are permitted to keep information confidential by the Customs Act. So we are not allowed to go and say, oh, John Doe came here today and, because he got an invoice. Also, we have the more serious cases, which are felony those involve mainly the importation of illegal, contraband, importation of contraband, illegal firearm, ammunition, drugs. Those matters, we prepare case files to put the matter before the court for prosecution.
Okay. Right. So you have a very important job in terms of investigating breaches and so on at the department. Now, Mr. Nisbet, what do you do specifically?
As you stated in your intro, which was very, very strong, let me just say, if I was doing a presentation right now, I wouldn't have anything to say following you. But as you mentioned, I am the courier operations manager, and as such, I am my department is responsible for receiving all imports through the various courier departments.
Okay, right. Now, recently, the Customs and Excise worldwide celebrated International Customs Day on January 26th. And the theme globally was Customs Fostering Sustainability for People, Prosperity, and the Planet.
Yes.
Now, what is International Customs Day all about? Why did they dedicate a day to celebrate international customs, the Customs and Excise Department globally?
Okay, the International Customs Day is a special occasion for customs organization throughout the world. I will give you a brief history as to how that came about. Okay, so in 1952, the Customs Corporation Council was established in Brussels, Belgium. The purpose of the establishment was to harmonize customs administration, procedure and practices in relation to tariffs, classification, valuation of commodities, and of course combating against illegal trading of goods internationally. In 1994, the council had evolved so much so that it adopted the name World Customs Organization. Today, there are 183 customs departments worldwide that are members of WCO. Okay, to express its gratitude to the customs organizations worldwide, WCO dedicates a day every year in January as International Customs Day. Locally, the St. Kitts Nevis Customs and Excise Department celebrate this specific day with a week of activities.
Okay, now the theme is very significant. Customs fostering sustainability for people, prosperity, and the planet. And the key word there is sustainability. Of course, we know that whenever we speak about sustainability, we are not just talking about the present. We are speaking about generations to come. And therefore, whatever that we do today must ensure that the generations to come will prosper. And so on. People must prosper. The planet must prosper. So in other words, we are not doing anything today that would jeopardize our future. How does the Customs and Excise Department here helping to foster that sustainability of people, of prosperity, and the planet?
Okay, well, I will jump on that one, but I will correct you, right? Because we're in exercising. We are customs and excise.
Excise.
Right, so don't exercise no more. Okay. Now, by securing supply chains and the borders, the customs contributes to human health and safety and security for all people. And by improving border control to risk management, customs facilitates legislated trade and secure revenue that bring about prosperity. By fighting against wildlife crimes, customs helps to protect the planet. So that's just a few things to.
Yes, thank you, Nisbet.
Yeah, junkie.
There's also exemption on, we're talking about sustainability, for our people. We really mean our citizens of the Federation. There's also exemption on energy saving equipment such as LED lights and solar panels, etc. We also ensure that people, homes and businesses are safe by offering full exemption on security equipment. So these are just some of the other things that customs do to foster sustainability for the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, customs protect our borders to ensure that dangerous items that could be destructive to our people do not penetrate our borders. So in a sense, customs play a role in the maintenance of our sovereignty of the country.
Right. So therefore, basically, you are building safe and secure societies.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
correct.
And that is important. And of course, in terms of illicit drugs and contraband, and in terms of hazardous waste and all of that sort of a thing entering our waters.
That's correct.
That is also part of your duty in terms of protecting the oceans, which is basically sustainability.
Yeah, we got our hands in everything.
You have your hands in everything. Endangered species, when you have to do with plants and sicknesses and all of that sort of a thing. All of that is a part of border security.
That's correct.
Yes, it is important that you mention about the sickness, because right now we have the coronavirus coming epidemic in Asia, started in Asia and now affecting various parts of the world. Just last week Friday, we were invited, my colleague and I, we were invited to Nima with other government officials from various agencies to be part of a sensitization meeting in regards to this same coronavirus. So we have an important role to play. We have to protect our borders. We are the gatekeepers, and once we come in contact with someone who might have this virus, then we have to, rely on the expertise of the health officials. Yes, so.
Right, and you play a major role in terms of the collection of revenue. In fact, you have to make sure that the government is not deprived of critical revenue that is necessary to fund public infrastructure and services. Mr. Nisbet, could you tell us the important role, or expound on the important role that customs play in terms of revenue collection?
Well, St. Kitts is experiencing a very large growth right now. The customs last year in 2018 we collected $185 million. In 2019 we collected approximately $191 million. Now that was a 3% growth between 2018 and 2019. Now, a lot of that money, like you mentioned earlier, goes into a lot of the infrastructure that we see around us, that the government is responsible for. Simple things that we take for granted, roads, healthcare, right? These are the things that this money goes into. So, right there and then you see.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And just to add to what my colleague said, Customs Department is successful and efficient in regard to the collection of the country's revenue, based on those figures mentioned by Officer Nisbet. And this ties back in with the theme in terms of customs fostering sustainability for the people, because the revenue generated will be recycled into the development of the country. I use the word recycle because the development of the country creates opportunities for new businesses to come on stream, which will result in the collection of more revenue, the collection of more revenue by the Customs Department. A major factor that also contributes to the customs successful and efficient revenue collection is the enforcement of our laws at the borders where importers clear their goods. Officers ensure that the correct duties and taxes are collected.
Right, and so therefore what you have just mentioned is that the custom contributes to strengthening governance and stability,
That is
Yes.
correct.
basically. Now, how does customs work along with law enforcement and other government departments in border security?
Well, the other border agencies, we perform a lot of agency functions for several agencies in St. Kitts. We perform agency functions for health, veterinary services, Port Authority. We work alongside the Bureau of Standards, Agriculture, Fisheries, and to further explain, I'll give you an example. You come into the port, whether it's the airport or a seaport, you have some plans. We are not specialists on plans. There's a body that does that, Agriculture Department. They are not there, but we are there. So we are responsible for making sure that the Agriculture Department is there to do their job, and we will stop you and your plans until agriculture can give that all clear.
Whenever necessary, we collaborate with our sister agencies, such as police, immigration, and the defense force. We render assistance to each other for the common goal of fulfilling our mandate as crime fighters. Officers of the Customs Enforcement Unit are part of the task force, for example. From time to time, we render canine assistance to the police. Joint operations are conducted with Coast Guard officers. We also do joint patrols and joint training. In relation to criminal cases that I mentioned of earlier, that are before the court for trial, the Customs Investigation Unit liaises with the Crown Counsels and the police prosecutors of the DPP office for advice and guidance, because of course they have the expertise in this field.
Yeah.
This is done to ensure we do not jeopardize the cases with legal implications. We also work closely with FIU and the police white collar crime unit.
Right. Okay, now in terms of border security,
Yes.
that is very important, and it means then that you are the gatekeepers in terms of what you let in
Could have detrimental effects on the
that
blind.
can have terrible ramifications.
Yes.
You can let in guns, you can let in drugs, people can pay you something under the table. Could you underscore the importance of integrity with respect to a customs officer?
Well, it's like you just said. I mean, you gave a list of items, a list of you said guns, drugs. No, I got family. You got family. We all know what guns and drugs do, right? No, I wouldn't have a gun, but I let in a gun. I'm not saying, well, it ain't got nothing to do with me. But then you go down the road and you just see him gun. I hear my cousin, and my brother down the road get shot by a gun. So I have to make sure that I do my job. And it is important for all of us to do our job and make sure we do it properly. And nobody is collecting any money under the table like you just said. Right? Because we need to take all of this into consideration. Don't just think about
Yes.
ourselves.
Right, because there is a theory that guns and drugs, we have porous borders. And there is a theory that some people have that our guns and our drugs and our illicit goods and so on are not only coming in at our shores and so on, but some of it is coming through the official channels, such as customs and that sort of a thing. Now, what is being done at the department, for example, to ensure that sort of a thing is eradicated?
Okay. William, I thank you very much for that question. You know why? Because as a customs officer, I know the dedication my colleagues put out on a day-to-day basis to ensure that our borders are safe. And I'm going to be quite frank, in every law enforcement organization, you may find one or two bad apples, right? And I want to make it clear that the St. Kitts Nevis Customs and Excise Department is not in the business of condoning and encouraging the smuggling of illegal firearms and ammunition, drugs.
Not in the least.
Right? And I also want to put on record that we have at least 2 cases before the court right now. We are customs officers on the side of the defense. Okay, so I just want to make it clear that we do not condone those type of activities. And also, allow me to just quote our mission statement that speaks to integrity. We will serve our citizens, collect and protect all revenue with fairness, efficiency, and integrity, and enforce compliant laws at our borders.
Now, what kind of training opportunities are provided for customs officers so that they can understand the important role that they play and to make them more effective in the duty that they carry out?
Well, we receive a lot of training locally, regionally, and internationally. In recent times, we receive training from bodies such as RETRAC, CATAC, CCLEC, CARICOM, OECS, the World Trade Organization, IDB, which is the Inter-American Development Bank, Customs Management, Police, and other border agencies. And the types of training,
Yes. Our goal is to have our officers well-rounded in terms of training, not just in regards to customs topics or customs practices and procedures, but we want them to be well-rounded law enforcement officers, because we are a law enforcement agency, right? So we have various training from these international and regional bodies that Nisbet just mentioned, such as financial investigation, precursor chemicals, leadership, drug investigation, post-clearance audit, weapons of mass destruction, marine training, canine training, just to list a few.
Okay. Do you have the powers of arrest as a customs officer?
Yes, yes we do. We, as a matter of fact, we have police powers, as we authorized to have based on the customs legislation. When we come in contact with any perpetrator, we have to carry out those same procedures in terms of arrest, making arrest, charging the people, the offenders based on customs offenses, and we hand them over to the police where they will be taken into custody. Okay?
So you charge or the police charges?
Well, we charge based on customs offenses, and the police charge based on police offenses. Because if you illegally, let's smuggle guns and drugs into the country, let's say guns and ammunition, the police would have an interest in that as a matter of investigation as well, because they are the relevant authorities in regards to the firearms and ammunition. And of course customs will prefer our customs charges. So in a situation like that, that matter will be prosecuted on behalf, and the police will prosecute the matter on behalf of customs and of course the police. Based on the Customs Act, the Comptroller of Customs has the authority to ask the Commissioner of Police to prosecute on his behalf.
Okay. So suppose somebody mischievously send a package to me. I don't know the individual, but the individual sends a package, and the package has in illicit drugs. It has my name on it. It has my address on it, but I know nothing about it. How would you deal with that?
Well, if you show interest in that package, right? If you show interest in that package, or for lack of better words, in layman's terms, if you show up and you collect it, well, you will have to explain to the laws of the land, and then we will take the proper channels, and well, you receive it, so
Yeah.
you know where it's going.
Well, Williams, in the Customs Act, in the interpretation section, there's the definition for importer.
That's right.
Anyone who shows a beneficial interest in a package, in the clearance of a package, or a consignment, right? Now, you said that your name on it, etc. Let's say your name was not on it, and you show interest in the clearance of that package, you will still be liable. Okay? And therefore, we will conduct our investigations, and let the court makes a decision.
Long and short, if they call you and tell you something of the port for you, and you ain't know nothing about it,
Then you don't go because you don't know anything about. So the person must have contacted you and said that they were
Right.
going to be sending something.
unless you're greedy and you want something up there, well, you come up there and you get it.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah, and
because these are some of the things that people will say. They don't know anything about such a package, and,
Right,
and
but
they
if you don't
they
know,
don't know what. Yeah.
right, and that is the thing. The culpability may not be in there, right? The menswear, that's the intention to commit an offense. Okay, it may not have been there, but the Customs Act in various of the offenses speaks about knowingly and recklessly, right? Because some people, even though they know, they would still say they don't know. So then the Customs Act speaks about knowingly committing an offense or recklessly committing an offense. So you will still be answerable.
Right.
To the offense.
What are some of the prohibited goods in the Customs Act that people are not allowed to ship like that through the normal channels, or they might need some special license or something like that to ship?
well, just to touch a few. Well, in the Act, it speaks to weapons down, right? There are several things you
Yeah, yes.
hit a few off your head, but before you outside of the Act, I know you mentioned specifically the Act, but outside the Act, there are a few things right now that we are having a bit of a problem with. Camouflage, right? We get this problem every day. Like I said, it's not in the Act, but we perform that agency function for the police who have restricted that item, right? And that's something we have a problem with right now. I don't know if we are doing enough in terms of getting the word out, but people come in with the camouflage, it's restricted, we have to take it from you, but people insist that they want the clothes. And that's just one of the things. Recently we have things like masks, which again we are performing that agency function, right? Masks are now restricted, any type of mask. If you need permission to import a mask, you have to go through the police, you have to write to the police commissioner, right, and get that permission to import. But like I said,
You have to give the reason why you want to import
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
such a thing.
Yeah, and the same goes for fireworks, arms and ammunition. Many people would say these are arms and ammunition are illegal. It is they are not illegal. They are restricted.
restricted, right?
Right? You have to seek permission from the police commissioner to import. Okay? What would be illegal is if you attempt to smuggle it, you try to bring it in without following the proper procedures. So the means of importation would be illegal.
Okay.
But actually the items are restricted.
That's correct.
Okay, now of course we have the customs and excise department, but of course, as I mentioned before, we have very porous borders. We have our open seas and all that sort of things where you have the illicit trafficking of course, in drugs, narco trafficking, and of people too. Not just drugs, but people are trafficked too.
Yeah, that's
you have people coming in on boats, and the weapons, money laundering, and all kind of other serious offenses. Now, how do you deal with that sort of a thing? Not just on land, but how do you deal with that in terms of our open seas?
Well, as we explained earlier, we perform agency functions, and that is why we rely on our counterparts, the Coast Guard, right? And you also mentioned something a while ago, cash, money laundering. So we rely on the expertise of the FIU, white collar crime unit. These are the experts. These are the experts in investigating money laundering offences. What we do, we make them aware of the suspicion that money laundering might be involved in this particular trade.
Do you have a team or a unit at customs that specifically deals with that?
Well, we have a very strong enforcement body, right? A very, very strong enforcement body, and within that enforcement body we have a marine department. We have a unit that is attached to the anti-gang, right? And we do our part on the border, right? We don't just leave everything up to the Coast Guard. We have seagoing vessels, and we also assist with the police patrols. So we are actively involved in these border assignments,
right?
Border protection assignments.
Okay. So you have that unit that is dedicated to that sort of the interdiction of drugs and all of that.
Yes.
That is correct. We are not just revenue collectors. We have, like I said, placed emphasis on a very strong enforcement body.
Yes.
A lot of people still don't look at the customs as an enforcement body, but like you mentioned earlier, I mean, we do have powers of arrest. We can do what the police do, right? But you know, we just do our part.
Right. Now, how much does technology play a part? For example, is there a vision, for example, for digital customs? And what is the importance of cutting-edge technology to your work?
Well, I think last year we celebrated under that theme, an IT theme last year, the World Customs Organization.
Paperless.
And
paperless.
Yes. One of the things we have been trying to accomplish is to arrive in that paperless environment. We are steadfast in achieving that goal, and like I said, we are just about there. We have a few things that we are going to be rolling out shortly, and we are going to be right there on the cutting edge of technology within the department.
Right, to cut down a lot of the red tape, the bureaucracy and so on. Can I, for example, go online?
I was just about to get to that. You see, right now you can go online, you could get all the customs information that you require. We have a lot of information available to you. So it's not like once ago when you had to run up border or run to a customs office. You can sit at home. You can peruse our site, skncustoms.com. Over the years, a lot of people used to call and say, "Hey, I'm bringing in a car. I got a washing machine. How much it cost to clear these things?" Now, we have a very long list of items. You can actually go online and you can actually work out or calculate what your duties and taxes are going to be before you even make your purchase, so you can prepare yourself.
Yeah, but you have a special portal, don't you?
Yes, SKN Customs.
SKN Customs, but there's another name for something that you have there that at customs.
Yeah, the customs. You're trying to bring Asicuda.
Asicuda.
Yeah.
That's what I'm the Asicuda.
Well, Asicuda locally is a work in progress. You heard me mention earlier the getting to that paperless environment. Like I said, it's a work in progress, and we are going to be there shortly.
Okay, so you're working on that.
Yes, we are.
But in terms of technology, you understand the importance of that to your work.
Yes.
you know?
We have 2 electronic modules that we hope to bring on stream sometime soon. One of them is the pre-release module. A pre-release is basically a consignment that the importer has to clear immediately upon arrival, even though he may not have everything in place to pay the necessary duties and taxes. For example, live plants, live animals. Okay, so in the pre-release module, you sign up everything online. Okay, everything online is done online.
Okay, now in terms of scanners, you have scanners. I mean, you know, some of the equipment that you would have at customs that will enable you to do your job. What is some of this equipment?
Okay. Over the last year, we saw the introduction of a large scanner at the customs warehouse at Birdrock. But to jump the barrel, we have some plans moving into 2020, and these plans include the introduction of a second X-ray machine at the air cargo facility at the main airport, right? And that scanner will also be used to scan general cargo. Now, as we speak about X-ray machines, we plan to go a step further and introduce X-ray for passenger baggage at the baggage terminal, the baggage facility. Now, you might ask why we need them over there. Now, it benefits everybody because it will speed up the examination of the passengers, and it's, like I said, it's faster and it's non-intrusive. So we ain't gonna go digging in your bag unless, you know, something piques our interest. So, like I said, it's non-intrusive. So when you come, you just drop your bag on, you go through a machine, we look at it, and boom, you're out the door.
I just want to touch some more on the scanner that Nisbet mentioned that is installed and operational at the Transit Shed 2, located at Birdrock. This is an area that experiences the movement of a large number of cargo that are imported via sea. Okay, I must also indicate that we have been reaping rewards relative to an increase in interdictions as a result of the cargo scanner. Our officers at the front line are to be commended as well, because for exercising their remarkable examination techniques, which cause them to highlight indicators in order to refer those consignments for further scrutiny by the X-ray machine. So Williams producing the resources to combat against the trade of prohibited and restricted goods is a work in progress, right? Also for 2020, the Customs Enforcement Division will be benefiting from a brand new enforcement building, which is in its final stages of completion. The enforcement building is scheduled to be completed by March of this year. The building is designed to be operational during and immediately after emergency situations like hurricanes and other natural disasters that may affect us. But generally we are affected by hurricanes, right? And God forbid that we have any other
serious
disturbance.
We are affected
Serious
by earthquakes too. We see what is happening in the Caribbean
These are the
now.
Yes. So we
You know, we're having more frequent
natural
earthquakes
disasters.
and so on.
Yeah, so the building and the enforcement building is equipped with an underground water cistern, barracks for officers, an area designated for a gym, holding cells, interview rooms and observation rooms, and of course office space. I think there's also a recreational area. Right? This is a building where we'll be able to work more efficiently as regards to enforcing our laws. Right? Also coming out soon is the Customs Excise Department will implement an induction training course for new officers. This particular training will start in the first week of February and will last for approximately 6 weeks. The purpose of this induction course is to ensure that new officers get training in specific customs areas such as valuation and classification of commodities, warehousing and intro to Customs Act, among other topics. Senior management saw the need for the induction course as a means of preparation for the new officers for when the time comes for them to sit the CICLEC training, right, which will make them officially trained custom officers. If they pass.
CCLEC.
Yes.
Is this an annual training course?
We try to do it annual, but sometimes we don't.
What does this CCLEC stand for?
That is Caribbean Customs Law Enforcement Council.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes we don't have enough new officers to train, so sometimes a year or two may pass before we do the training.
Okay.
But usually it's every year, it's annually.
Okay.
And we receive officers from neighboring islands, Anguilla, Montserrat.
For the very same training.
That is correct.
What about your canine unit? I mean, I don't like dogs sniffing me, but
Before I answer that question, let me mention that customs have 3 methods of detection. Of course, we have the customs officers, and we examine the cargo manually. And then we have the canine, and then we have the scanners, the cargo scanners. In terms of the canine unit, it's an integral part of our operation in regards to the interdiction and detection of drugs, cash, arms and ammunition. So right there and then, we have invested in 3 types of canine: cash, drugs, and arms and ammunition, explosives.
right. So you would have officers at the airport and at the seaport,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
And when you get all these containers, these big containers, of course, you have to have an officer reserved for the offloading of those containers.
Yes. Yes. That goes based on the risk profiling. If we are comfortable with you in terms of doing business with us over the few years, let's say company X has been compliant for a number of years, then we trust them to work the containers on their own.
There's a level of risk management.
Yeah, but I'm saying, can you trust anybody now?
Well, you see, if we had to,
Because then sometimes that is the problem. Sometimes then people abuse that trust.
yeah, but then you must have some level of history, right? You must have a history. If you are doing good, I mean, me saying you're gonna be doing good all the time. You can at one point be doing good and boom, you wake up tomorrow morning and then boom, you do bad. But then at the same time, we have to make sure that our resources are properly aligned with our workloads, right? So if we really had to touch everything 100% without that risk assessment tool, we would not have nearly enough manpower, right? So that risk assessment tool helps us, right, to eliminate the unnecessary. If you're following me.
Right. Okay. No, excise. We hear the customs and the excise. How do you differentiate them? I think excise has to do with tariffs and all of that, so duty. Explain what's the difference. It's customs on one hand, and then you have excise.
Well, it is
Excise has to do with duties and taxes.
Yeah, but you see,
Something like that.
right now, if I
And
start
how
a
are those
conversation-
applied? How do you have a tariff book?
Yes, that's what I tell you. If we jump into this right now, we're gonna be here until about very, very late. But we have we operate by a common external tariff, right? Every item that is in this room right now, every item on your body, right, is assigned a code in that tariff, right? And with that code, the laws and bodies that they have applied a particular rate to that item. So when you come in, it's like people that say, well, I come last week, I had this shot, and you charge me XYZ, and I come back this week and you charge me less or you charge me more. But it's not that way, right? It's a percentage of the cost of the item.
Right. And then you also have freight and you have...
Freight and insurance. Most, if not all, custom taxes are calculated on the CIF, what is, you just mentioned, cost of the item, the insurance and the freight of the item.
And then you have the VAT.
Well, it already snuck up in here, isn't it?
Which is the 17%.
That is correct. So that is a part of the taxes that you would be levied.
So at Christmas time, the government is very compassionate to its, its citizens and so on. I say, well, we are going to exempt the VAT, or we are going to reduce it to such and such a, percentage for this period.
Yes.
And that is one way in which the government, of course, is showing its appreciation to people for paying their taxes and all of that sort of a thing, all throughout the year. The sustainability
for the people.
Sustainability for the people. Yes, that is sustainability. Now, Christmas time and so is very busy. That is when people bring in a lot of goods and all of that. How do you deal with that?
Well, the busy season, that's what we call it, right? The busy season. And quite frankly, I'm just recovering well. I ain't even just recover. I still under the weather from that season, right? Because I could tell you straight up, in my just about 22 years experience in this job, that was the last one, was one of the heaviest seasons that I've ever seen in terms of inputs, particularly in my area, which is the courier department. Now, how we deal with that? The Christmas rush, quote unquote. One of the things we do, well, what we do, we extend working hours, which includes working on weekends. The warehouses are opened before 8. We open up additional areas for examination and cashing. And the all-powerful one that bite a lot of officers, because in my 22 years I've never had a Christmas to myself, right? We don't get vacation during this time. So it's all man on deck when it comes to the busy season.
Full force.
Full force.
Yes, full force. No vacation.
No vacation during that period.
Right.
Yes. In addition to that, because it's the Christmas season, busy season, we have more traffic in and out of the port. Right. So we have to make sure that we have more security presence, more people to give directions and to guide the people. So all of those things we take into consideration to bear with the Christmas rush.
So your hands are full at that period.
Yes, that's the...
Okay, we are going to go to the phone lines and to hear what people have to say. We are going to open the phone lines, the numbers to call, the international number, 1718-577-2916. That's 1718-572916. And the local number is 465-2555. We await your calls. Now, you're celebrating a week of activities. What have been some of the activities so far? What yet is to come? And what do you really hope to achieve by these activities?
Well, as we explained earlier...
There's a caller. Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate the explanation and the effort that the guys have taken to explain things to us. But I have a pet peeve that I've always wanted to hear addressed. I heard the officer said that because of the bulk of work that you would have had, you wouldn't be like 100% examining every container that comes in, or everybody is good, because there are some persons that you would have trust over the years, and then you ask him, is anybody there that you can trust? And to me, that's the pertinent question. Some of the things that I believe, some of the things that gets in through those trusted, because after you've been trusting somebody for a long time, I mean, let's make up the name of a business. Let's say business Jeffrey. Mr. Jeffrey, the business name Jeffrey. But Mr. Jeffrey has died long time ago, and the thing still coming under Jeffries and Associates. And I am John, who is the person who imports things. The thing's not coming in John's name. it's still under Jeffrey, the trusted Jeffrey. So John now takes the chance of, buying some illegal stuff or whatever, and they comes in under this trusted company, Jeffries. I mean, he's not going to get arrested. He no name Jeffrey. But because he's been trusted, companies been trusted over the years, some, smart head could take the advantage. I would suggest that instead of having regular trusted people, you could do it at random. This month, we choose some people we never trusted to, bring in their stuff, and we don't go through the 100%. Because then, to me, you're setting up yourself for illegal, criminally minded people to take advantage of the regular trusted channels.
But random might be even more riskier.
Huh?
Random might be even more riskier.
Well, all of it is risky, but you can look into the random to see, because then they don't know. You don't know if you're going to be selected to go through, so you can't take the chance of putting any illegal stuff in it.
Okay, thank you so much for your comment. Thank you. Right. Go right ahead.
Can I respond? Caller, thank you very much for your call. But I think there was some misunderstanding in what was mentioned earlier. Now, what we said earlier is that there is a very active risk assessment tool employed at the customs. Now, like we were discussing, we mentioned trust, but it doesn't just work like that. Right? Our risk assessment tool is updated regularly, and we are always investigating every importer, so we know what's going on, and it's a relationship that you develop with somebody, right? I'm not saying that somebody won't deceive you, right? But because of the way the risk assessment tool is set up, I mean, if we drop the ball one time, I mean, sometimes once is too much, but if we drop the ball one time, I guarantee you we ain't gonna drop it 2 times.
Working for you, good afternoon. Hello?
Am I live?
You are live. We're hearing you.
Mr. Williams, good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to my former colleagues.
Good afternoon, Terry.
First time I say that I believe my former colleagues is doing a good job. They have done a good job over the holiday season. However, I want to say that I believe there could be a little bit more coordination as it relates to the delivery of goods and as to the time, the amount of time the goods would have stayed in the custody at the port. For example, you have the KDP people. I have had a number of packages there, and when I got there, they're telling you, well, the goods have not been assessed as yet. And then they're blaming you, customs. And when people does not get their goods during that time of the year, then they are going to become extremely upset. And so maybe it's a good thing that from government to government they continue with the concession. But that part of it definitely need to be worked out and coordinated. Also, I believe as it relates to the container with the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority. So once you get that there come down, I believe that the complaint will be minimal. And so guys, continue doing what you're doing. You're the front line. You are the security for this country as it relates to goods coming in and out. And you're quite right when you speak about the containers. You cannot check every single container.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Adams.
And that is where you talk about risk assessment. It's like 10 planes coming in. You can't go check every single passenger. Otherwise, you're going to get a backup where you will not move at all. And then people are going to go to government headquarters to complain. And so what the officers are telling John Public is the truth. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
He great,
Right.
mighty Tango Alpha. Well, the viewing audience will see me laughing because that's an old school customs officer. So, yeah, I appreciate you.
Do you have any comment on what he has said? Anything that you want to add?
Well, I can say at the customs, right? We are evolving, and we are doing our best to make sure that all the importers are satisfied and are dealt with in a fair and expeditious manner. Now, we made mention to the season earlier. It was, I'm pretty sure it caught a lot of people off guard. And I don't want to jump out and say, okay, well, this A didn't do his part or B didn't do his part. But I can tell you that the customs executed what it set out to do during the season, not just effectively but efficiently. But we do not work by ourselves. There are several other stakeholders involved, and if the stakeholders cannot follow through with their commitments, sometimes the customs get the backlash. So even though I said we operate efficiently, we end up sharing the blame and we just look like we are performing effectively, right? But we have been doing our part. But like I said, the last season, it was a tough one, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people dropped the ball. So we got a lot of blame because for some people it's easier to say the customs, but the customs did everything, right? Because we are speaking to particularly my department, the courier department. A lot of the courier agencies were overwhelmed for various reasons, but the customs stood fast and made sure it did everything to make sure that every courier agent got their goods in a timely manner. There were times, me personally, I worked till 2-3 in the morning to make sure that our department cleared 6,000, 7,000 pieces, right? So a lot of things are involved. The customs are involved, ground handlers are involved, the courier agents, air carriers. So I think everybody got caught off guard last season with the volume of cargo that was received in St. Kitts. Our growth, right? Our growth and what is happening in the country right now was evident by the sheer mass the sheer mass of imports, especially to the courier agents on the Christmas season.
So that tells you that economic growth
you could see
is actually taking place.
It is. And the stats are there, the figures are there, and like I said, it was one of the roughest seasons I've experienced in. I don't know if I was sleeping for the rest of it, but this one here, just gone there.
In your 22 years,
I was
at customs, it was the roughest. Yes. And it is the most that you would have ever seen in terms of imports.
Particularly through the courier.
Working for you, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to be brief because I ain't have much credit. When are you all going to start charging taxes and stop charging taxes on top of taxes? Because what you are doing there is not fair. You have the TIF charge, then you charge maybe that's on top of that. But then goes the VAT thing plus the CIF cost, you charge tax and that again. I think you're only supposed to be charging taxes on the cost of the goods, not the cost of the goods plus tax and then tax on the cost. You understand what I'm saying? You understand me?
Thank you very much, Carlo.
Yes, thank you for your call.
Well, Carlo, I do not have a response for that right now, but I can assure you, I will take a note of that.
Yes, because
and then,
it's not fair. It's not fair. I can pay $100 for something. CIF charges will bring it to 150. Then you charge me VAT on top of $150. Then you charge me port dues on top of the 150 plus, and then you charge me custom duty on top of $200. You're supposed to only charge taxes on the cost of the goods.
I will note your concern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the caller is correct because the VAT is calculated compoundedly. However, the customs do not have the
We do not control.
control that. We cannot
Right.
change that. We can't change that complaint.
Right, well,
That's
I
a
guess-
common complaint that we've heard in the past.
Right, because sometimes you order something and you actually end up paying more for this for the good here than what you know the cost that you paid for it. So sometimes
Yes.
really I question to myself, is it really wise?
Yeah, man, it's good to do your analysis before you place an order online. We know the phenomenon where online orders has become the most popular thing now.
Right, and sometimes you do it because you may not have the good here. You don't have the variety, and there is something that you want.
Yes.
But sometimes you pay heavily for it.
Yeah, but I mean, with how technology is right now, I mean, you go right now, you could go to your phone, whatever electronic device you have, and you press add to cart, and then you press.
Amazon, you don't even have to
And
press. You
everything.
can
Buy
add
now.
to art,
Yeah.
to cart. You just buy now.
Why no? Yeah.
And we have so
One
many
click.
we have so many courier operators right now that can get you your goods next day. So it's like you in the US now. Your stuff delivered to your box from Amazon Prime 2 days, and then the very next day you have your item here.
Now tell me something. The goods are scanned. For example, most people would have a US address. The goods are scanned when they arrive at the US address before they come here.
Well, there are several practices, right, that we see. We see some are inspected and some are not. But we do not depend on what we are unaware of, right? So the goods are scanned when they arrive in the Federation. And if there is no scanning, right, there is whosoever goods are not scanned, right, there is a 100% examination, along with the risk assessment tool that we mentioned earlier.
Okay. So all goods coming through courier are checked.
Checked, whether it be by scanning, 100% checking, or in some cases, both.
Okay. What's the role of a customs officer in terms of confidentiality and what people order? Because I might order something. Working for you, good afternoon. We lost that caller. Caller, you can call back. Feel free to call back. Yeah, so I order something. And of course, my name is known. What sort of a confidentiality? Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Good
those
afternoon.
on the panel. Carl Brown here. Question, guys. Could the traffic department and customs and maybe some of the people who do the brokerage work, could at the port, could all of that go into one area? Instead of people have to come up the port, come back downtown, go up the traffic department, go down inland revenue, go buy somebody to test before they could move a vehicle off the port. And why is it that all of those departments cannot be at the port? Because you go to the port to clear sometime a vehicle, like last week, some friends of mine went to clear a vehicle, say 10 o'clock in the morning, and through the back and forth of the port downtown, they ain't get a vehicle until like 5 something in the afternoon. A whole day. So guys, I'm glad that the 2 big shots are there. Maybe the next time you all meet with the top officials in government, and maybe when you all have a big general meeting, that is something that you all could come up with. I see y'all constantly putting on lots of building there at the port. Maybe a big building could go there to put all of these business that when people come to the port, everything is done there at the port, and you go. Another thing, guys, seeing that one of you explained that you are the investigator into matters. The question is, what plans you have in place to weed out the bad apples between you guys' organization? And what terms and conditions do you have in place to scout out these bad apples? Because you see every now and again you catch a one or two breaking the rules of the customs. Those are my questions, guys.
Okay, caller, thank you very much for your call. I'll let you take the last one, but
Yes,
let me come down the line. Let me say it straight. The first question was, the first concern was the putting everything together. No, that's not something I think we can address here because there are so many agencies involved. That's something that will have to be discussed above our heads. That's one. You discussed a friend of yours going to the port and made a clearance, and it took a particular amount of time. Now, one of the things I've seen, right, which is helpful, knowledge is very important. You need to acquaint yourself with what you have to do, because I've seen persons come to the port at 8 o'clock in the morning to clear a car, and by 9:30, 10 o'clock they're out there. And that occurs because that person took the time out to familiarize themselves with what they have to do, right? Because, like I said, we are every day trying to improve ourselves, and we have made things readily available to the importer. We have a lot of information available on our website, skncustoms.com, and if you just take your time out and go and read some material, it might take you 5-10 minutes to read some material, and that 10 minutes of reading that material may help you to just spend an hour as opposed to, like you say, 7-6 hours at the port. So educate yourself on what you have to do, right, before jumping into it. And the last speaker.
Yes, yeah, I thank the caller for the question, but I would not give information as to what we have in place to identify corrupted customs officers. Right? I would not give that information publicly. However, in a case like that, I can guarantee you, if any customs officer is being identified as to being involved in any criminal activities, right? From the controller, come right down to the most junior officer, you will be taken to task by the enforcement division. And you will you'll have to deal with the consequences that come forward with it. What I don't want the public to think that, to have the perception, because some people do have the perception that the customs organization is corrupted. But I want to make it clear, as I mentioned earlier, any customs officer who are involved in any criminal activities, any illegal actions, will be dealt with accordingly.
I want to add to that because, but I'm going to take it from a different angle, because we are a community and we need to act like a community, right? It's not just customs, it's not just X, it's not just Y. We are a community, and if I go down the road tomorrow and the caller or anybody in the general public see me doing something that I should not be doing, right? Not just in the customs organization, but somebody in any organization that's doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. We as a community, we are supposed to report, right? these problems. Whatever you see the person doing that is wrong, you have to report it. You see something, say something. Because if I got on the road and Mr. Williams just watch me cross the road and I kick somebody in the bum, me ain't supposed to kick somebody in the bum. Well, Mr. Williams, if you ain't say something, well, I'm gonna kick somebody else in the bum. If you understand what I say, right? We need to help each other, right? Not just the customs, not just X, Y, or Z department. You see something, say something, and we could help each other fix whatever problems we have.
Like your detection techniques, because criminals come up with all kind of innovative ways to get things through customs. They what is, I mean, and sometimes they beat you at your own system. What is in place for that? I mean, the people hide things in all kinds of things, and they pass through. They get through. Not because that you were involved in anything crooked or corrupt, but it's just that however they would have disguised or camouflaged or whatever to beat your detection
Before you
system.
start, let me just say something, because I will let Mr. Martinez answer these questions. You see, like how we discuss how we are evolving, the criminals are also evolving. Just like you say, everybody watching everything. You could go on YouTube and learn XYZ, just like how...
Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon again, gentlemen. Carl Brown here again. Gentlemen, I would ask, do you have in place, because all departments have been accused that, you are responsible for anything entering the Federation.
I'll ask the question and cut out the commentary. We are short on time.
The question is that you all been accused that other agencies have been allowed to aboard vessels before you all. Could you all give an answer to that and educate the nation on who is forced to enter any vessel when it is suspected of any illegal stuff?
Okay, thank you for your question.
Well, that's the first I'm hearing of that, so all I can do right now is make a note.
Yes, Carl, we are not aware of those allegations. Therefore, we are not in a position to comment on them.
Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams, and them two great custom champions.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mr. Williams, I like how they got you today, They got you jamming up with your answers.
Yeah?
Yeah, man, they got you in a lock.
Okay.
Anyway, that's good. But I want to commend them for really doing a good explanation to we in the listening audience. And the last customer officer there before you, just now, when he said, well, too many people see things being done wrong, and they keep it to themselves, they hush. That is a problem I have with a lot of people. A lot of people see things wrong, and before they speak out, you see something, say something, they ain't going to say nothing. They go in the yard up on the sidewalk by a fence and try the case. That ain't help. I just always tell them, speak out. And that would help those in authority who are supposed to correct those perpetrators. So again, big up to the two custom officers and the one who explained that. You see something, say something. Have a good day, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Working for you, good afternoon.
Sorry, I'm trying to get a cashier, please. Secretary?
Yeah. Okay. Right. You wanted to comment?
Yeah, let me just answer the questions in regards to the challenges. And the Customs and Excise Department continues to face challenges where smuggling of contraband and under-invoicing are concerned. As society evolves and is becoming more dynamic, criminals are also becoming more sophisticated. Their concealment methods are extremely creative and evasive. For example, we have come across concealment methods where cans of foodstuff are sealed as though it was never tampered with, fully labeled with the commodity label, so it looks like it was never tampered with when it left the manufacturer. However, the X-ray scanning would discover the concealment of contraband within these cans of foodstuff. So these are some of the challenges. In furtherance to our challenges, importers continue to attempt to fraudulently evade customs of duties and taxes by submitting false declarations. It is a common but a major issue.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the evasion, tax evasion.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and when you try to evade your taxes and so on, you're depriving the government,
of course,
of critical revenue that it needs to improve, it's to fund its public infrastructure and services if you're going to evade your taxes. So we must be good citizens.
You take it by yourself.
I'm paying ourselves. You're robbing from yourself, basically. Now, what is the difference between customs and border patrol? Are they the same?
A border patrol is a function of customs in terms of border protection. That is what it is. Really. Border patrol, border protection, those are our customs functions.
They're customs functions.
Yes.
So there is no distinction between them. What about the link between customs and immigration?
Well, the link between customs and immigration right now is more or less a working relationship. Right? In other areas of the world, the customs and immigration may be one body. Right? But it's different here. They are two different organizations with a working relationship.
Okay. Good. Right. You can say that we are out of time.
Are we?
We are out of time.
Already?
It's
Wow.
three more minutes. And if there's anything else that you would like to say.
I just want to say thank you for having us here this afternoon to represent the St. Kitts Nevis Customs and Excise Department. To grant us the opportunity to inform the public on matters happening at customs, our new initiatives, our success in terms of border protection and the collection of the government's revenue. Yes, thank you.
Okay, but your week of activities, you didn't share on that.
Knock us out.
Yeah, so okay, so as I mentioned earlier, for the International Customs Day, locally we celebrate it with a week of activities. So on Sunday, January 26th, we attended the organization attended church at the Antioch church at Limekeel, and later in the day we attended luncheon at Royal St. Kitts Hotel. And of course today we are here on the show.
Yes.
Working for you.
We are working for you.
And Friday 31st January, we'll have an open day at the customs headquarters where we invite the various schools to come out and see some of what we are doing. There will be exhibition by the canine unit and other stuff.
That's always very exciting.
Yes, it is. And also we culminate the week of celebration on Saturday, 1st February, with a family picnic. We'll be traveling to Nevis and just have some fun and just enjoy the day.
Yeah, we blow up this team family Christmas.
Anything else you want to say, Mr. Nisbet?
Oh yeah, well I just want to say to our audience right now, if you are left with any questions, please feel free to call Customs Main Office at 466-7227. We are always available to take your questions. And if you are in need of any information and you cannot make a call, please feel free to visit us at skncustoms.com. There's a lot of information there that I'm pretty sure could help you in your imports and exports. Thank you very much, Mr. Williams.
Well, I want to thank both of you. You play a very important role in homeland security.
Yes.
All that you do and so on is very important in terms of our border protection and border security and all of that. In actually, it's homeland security. You're securing our homeland,
Yes,
which is
gatekeepers.
very, you're the gatekeepers. And it is extremely important what you do. So I want to thank you for coming on today's program and to share some of what you do, the important work that you do to protect our borders, to keep us safe, and the tax collectors as well. There's a very important. Sometimes people don't like to pay taxes, but the truth of the matter is that if we don't pay our taxes, then we are all poorer for it,
Of course.
because our public infrastructure
It's dependent.
is dependent upon taxes and so on. So thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Martinez,
Williams.
and thank you, Mr. Nisbet.
Yeah, let's not wait till
so
another
much for
customs there.
coming. Right, you always have the invitation.
Okay, well, we'll set it up.
It was a pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to another edition of Working for You. To all of our callers and our listeners, we continue to appreciate you from week to week. Next week, we will be back with another edition of Working for You. Until then, I am Les Roy Williams. Take care.
Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Les Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.